All right, another big controversy this week was a decision by Methodist Methodist Le Bonheur hospitals to do away with or cancel all gender-affirming surgeries. The hospital itself has handled this in an interesting way in the sense that they have not issued any kind of statement. At ABC 24, we've been trying for several days to try and find out why they made this decision, how they made this decision, how long this decision might stay in place, to confirm the reports we've gotten from our sources that this is the result of staff at Methodist uncomfortable doing gender-affirming surgeries or taking part in that. So it's created, well, you're the PR person here, Deidre. I know they're a client of yours, so you're probably limited on what you can say, but just the broader picture of having to deal with this kind of controversy from a public relations perspective.
Well, I think, you know, they're probably looking at what they potentially could say. Talking with their general counsel about what makes sense for them to say. I'm sure it was a great deal of discussion for them to come out and make this decision, and there's a rationale behind it. It's just a process that they have to go through internally to make sure that they, you know, dot every I, cross every T before they come out with a statement.
That's a good point. You deal with this a lot. A lot of these kinds of controversies require people at a lot of different levels signing off on how our response is going
to be. Because, you know, you may call me, Richard, today if I'm the PR person at Methodist, but I may have to talk to the president of the organization, the general counsel, and then, you know, the staff that's putting all of this together to make sure that I have all of the facts before I can come back with a statement to you.
Okay,
so it's a process.
Yeah, absolutely. Overall, the overall controversy, Reverend Whalen, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm obviously not a medical doctor, although I am a real doctor. It's theology, but I do have an English degree, and the words are kind of confusing to me at this point. I tried to find a statement, and now I know why there is no statement from Methodist right now. But when I think about gender affirming, that term is an interesting term. And I tried to find out, what does gender affirming mean? And I found out that it means sex reassignment.
Yes.
Well, that's an interesting conundrum now, because it calls up the question, well, why do we have to refer to it as gender affirming? Who's that trying to soothe? Who's that trying to calm? Well, why don't we call it sex reassignment surgery? And maybe that will bring out a little more clarity on who's opposing it and why they're opposing it. The other word that gives me pause is the word Methodist. Methodist, as far as I know, has always been a religious term, a denominational identity. Is there someone within the system, and I know the Deidre can't address it, but is there someone in the system that is putting forth an ideology that's sort of reacting to sex reassignment surgery and gender identity? I don't know. The fact that there is such uncertainty around the entire issue gives me pause. That's all. I don't know the reasoning, but I do know that when I looked it up a little bit further and found out what gender affirming means, it actually means the exact opposite of affirming when you think about it. So I'm interested to see how it develops. I'm interested to see what kind of statement Methodist comes up with. And I'm interested to see more about why the ACLU is so up in arms about it. It's just, I think it's interesting, and it shows that we are in some difficult times.
Let me, in fact, talk about that ACLU statement. This is just a portion of it that was issued from the American Civil Liberties Union of Tennessee. They said all people should be able to access necessary medical care without fear of discrimination because of who they are. This is from Lucas Cameron Vaughn with the ACLU. He said, denial of health care results in life-threatening situations for all patients. Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare is risking the lives of its patients by jumping into the culture wars. Discrimination does not belong in healthcare. So yeah, they're jumping into this, Reverend Whalen, as you mentioned. I wonder if we would be dealing with or talking about this at all if it wasn't for the change in policy. My understanding is Baptist and St. Francis, the other large hospitals, don't do this surgery, so they're over here not in any kind of controversy at all, but because they decided to change the policy at Methodist, that's where they find themselves in a sticky situation.
And I don't think it's coincidental that Baptist is religious ideology. St. Francis, Catholic, Methodist. It's just interesting to me, and I think it bespeaks some of the areas that we are loath to discuss, although just beneath the surface, we really, really want to talk about it, but we're not sure how we can talk about it.
I think when I read the article too, Richard, I said something about Vanderbilt and them changing their policy for 18-year-olds and under who may want to have this type of surgery. So maybe it's something across the country people are looking at as well.
Well, that's another issue, is the age of which you perform these surgeries,
Right.
and how young is too young.
Exactly.
And that was the situation with Vanderbilt. And apparently, some politicians in Nashville, some state lawmakers, made it seem a lot like it was happening all the time, and anyone who walked in and wanted to change genders could do so. But that was kind of inaccurate, but Vanderbilt, again, just to stay clear of it, they decided the best option was just to put a pause on those surgeries for now. So you raise a good point there too.